I think the last class you have gone through and you have done with the notes and other things. So before starting this class, I have to remind you one thing. You have heard about the new regulations, rules and regulations coming inside the field of education. That is national education, is the name of national education policy. Since you are in the +1, so after 12th, you may, when you are going out or from 12th onwards, there will be changes started to come. So in order to get a college admission or even in NEET and other things, you must have to study, no other choice. Earlier, if you scored a good, now the mark is not as per that manual mark is not becoming any basic criteria. We don't know any further improvements about that. So it is said that all the students, if they want to get a college admission, they have to pass through a single window. That means through an entrance examination. Then only they will, according to the mark that they are scoring in the entrance examination, will determine which course they are going to get. So MBBS and the law, judiciary in law is not included in that, balance all others are included. So there is no other way, we have to study. Other guidelines are not out, so we will come to know about that. But this is the national education policy, you might have read in the newspapers. So they are going to implement this in within 10 years. So slowly they will start to show that in exams, especially in the board examination of 10th and 12th. 10th we are not sure, since you are 12th, you have next year you are going to be in 12th. So compulsory, whatever it is, there may be. Expecting, we don't know, we are expecting. So there is no other way, you have to study. So read the textbook properly, go through each and everything, physics, chemistry, bio, math, English, Hindi, whatever it is, go through properly. So now there is no foul place, we have to face the reality. So please go through. So if there is any doubt also, you can text me. No, you don't have my number, you can type wherever it is, under the wherever I am posting this video. Last week we had discussed about the anatomy of the mouth and the physiology of the mouth, what is happening inside the mouth. So after the digestion inside the mouth, food particle, saliva, mucus inside the whatever the mucus inside it, all are mixed together. That particular mix we will call it as bolus, BOLUS, bolus. And this bolus, now the destination of this bolus is to the stomach through esophagus. So today we are going to discuss about this esophagus and the stomach, these two parts. So if you see esophagus, you have studied about this in 10th standard. If you see this esophagus, it is also called as food pipe, gullet, many things. And the total length of a human esophagus is somewhere around 25 centimeters in the adult. So this may change according to the size of the organism, and it's formed according to the height of the organism, it will change. And whenever it is passing through this area to the esophagus, we know that till larynx or just above the larynx, it's a common pathway for both food and air. So whenever the food is coming, the air pipe has to close, so that the food will be directed to the esophagus. And that structure, a flip-like structure which actives during the passage of the food, we call it as epiglottis. So whenever the food is passing, so this, by the force of that engulfing, this food will come to and attach to this muscular structure, this muscular structure will close the epiglottis, will close the tracheal entry, so that the food will never go into the windpipe or trachea. So whenever if the food goes into the trachea, we know what is going to happen. Soaking and other things will be there. So in order to avoid that, we are doing that. And if you see the snake, whenever the snake is swallowing the food, because snakes swallow the food in a full. That means if a rat is there, they will not going to chop the rat into pieces. Full they are swallowing. So it takes time. So in order to, and they also having epiglottis, something like that, which is, but oxygen is very important for us. We will engulf very fast, but they will swallow it slowly. So passage of air is very important. That is why if you see the mouth of the snake, under the mouth, when snake opens, you can see a hollow pipe through which the movement of air takes place, which is helping for breathing and respiration. So this thing we have to keep in mind. And I have shown here one diagram and which is represented with C3, C4, C5. This C4, C3, C5 is showing the backbone, that is spinal bones, backbones. And still C3 to T10 will be the size of that means the length of the esophagus. And this esophagus are also made up of sphincter muscles, and the movement that takes place inside the esophagus, we will call it as the peristalsis, that is zigzag movement. It is not falling directly into the stomach. Zigzag like that, it will move into the stomach, and the followed food will go. And once it is gone through esophagus and reach the stomach, there is no coming back. There is no backward or backflow of food. There is no. So it is 100% protected by that. If that backflow has to come, then vomiting has to take place, or vomiting like sensation has to take place. That is a reflex. So with that only it will come out. Otherwise the food will never come out. So that is why some conditions, whenever there is an indigestion or stomach related problems like ulcers or some very serious issues at the stomach, whenever taking some food, we will vomit. Through vomiting only it will come up. And apart from that, we have some heartburns whenever we take any food which is rich in chili, that makes heartburns. So that is also possible, but we will discuss the conditions after studying these things. Is it clear? And this esophagus, I have already said that this esophagus will according to the organism's height, the length of the esophagus also will change. And when this esophagus will enter into a hollow organ which is called as the stomach. And the stomach, if you see the location of the stomach is somewhere in between, not somewhere, it is in between esophagus and the small intestine. And inside the stomach also we are having lot of chemical changes, chemical reactions are taking place. So whenever we see the stomach is divided into three parts. One is known as fundus, body, and pylorus. And you see the two esophagus arrow, that particular part, and you see two duodenum, you see that signal, two signs, not signals, two signs. Those areas are guarded by a group of muscles known as the sphincter muscles. These sphincter muscles will never allow food to go back to the mouth once it is to the stomach. In a normal condition, or the stomach is full, this food is not allowed to go back to the esophagus. That will be protected in both the ends. That means without any reflex, the stomach will never go to esophagus. Without any reflex, the mass from the stomach to the small intestine, they will not allow. And the stomach is 100% of muscular in nature, muscular in nature. So this stomach will move like a wave like forms. So whenever they are moving like a wave like structure, when these muscles are moving wave like structure, the mixing of the food will take place. So they will store the food for particular time. So mostly the food will be stored for somewhere around 4 to 6 hours, that depending upon the amount of the food, the time, everything. And this stomach is well nourished with the blood vessels. Blood vessels are well nourished and well fed with nerves. So when the stomach is full, that negative feedback also has to go to the brain, so that no more food has to go. So we will feel that our stomach is full. That will somewhere near to the fundus. When the food is reached, our stomach will be full. That extra area will be used to adjust the food, whatever it is coming in extra, that fundus part. So this is these are the parts of the stomach. And if you are saying somewhere, the newborn babies can hold up 2 to 4 liters of food. 2 to 4 liters stomach volume is 2 to 4 liters, and babies can hold somewhere around 30 milliliters of the food. So these are the main structure how this stomach looks like. And next, if you see inside if you see the stomach, these stomach is made up of, if you see the microanatomy of the stomach under the microscope, the covering of the stomach, it has made up of 3 parts: serosa, muscular layer. The serosa layer means which is covered with the skin. Then they have the muscles, the original stomach muscles. Then there are area known as submucosa, then this mucosa. So this mucosa and submucosa are responsible for secreting the mucus and the digestive enzymes. We will come to that. And this muscle will be helpful for the movement, peristaltic movement, so that the mixing takes place. And serosa, that is the skin layer, will be protected from the invasion of other microorganisms from outside. And when we see into the stomach glands, we can see something like this. That means inside the stomach we are having lot of this bended structures, which we call it as the rouages. And these bended structures are responsible for secretions from the stomach. That is why these stomachs are made up of column-shaped cell, which is responsible for columnar epithelial cells, which are responsible for the secretion. And when you see inside, the major secretion from the stomach is HCl. All of us knows that the pH is somewhere 1.3 to 1.5. So whenever the HCl is there, the inside the stomach, it will be acidic in nature. So if HCl is not secreted then the stomach pH will never go beyond less than 5. Somewhere near to 4 to 5 it will be, and then the next time 6 hour gaps will be there. So whenever we see inside this groove, what is the folded structure, there are mainly 3-4 cells are there, which are secreting some digestive enzymes, which helps food to digest, and it will maintain the total physiology of the food. So one such cell is known as the G cell, which will secrete the hormone known as gastrin. Gastrin hormone, if it is not secreted, then other hormones will not be. So gastrin plays an important role during the time of secretion of this secretion of this hormones and enzymes. Sorry, not hormones, enzymes. And next comes the chief cells. Chief cells will be secreting pepsinogen and gastric lipase, and this pepsinogen is inactive in nature. So with the help of HCl, this will become active, so they can digest peptides, or pepsin can cleave peptides. So it will helping in the protein digestion. The protein digestion begins inside the stomach slowly. Then comes the parietal cells, which secretes hydrochloric acid and some intrinsic factors like sodium, potassium, etc. Then mucous neck cell secretes mucus, and the surface mucous cell secretes mucus. And what is the function of this mucus inside the stomach? So whenever the HCl is secreted out, HCl's pH is somewhere 1.3 to 1.5 in and around that. It is 100% acidic. It's near to 0. So whenever this HCl is secreted, if this HCl is where HCl will be there inside the stomach for a time period, if these mucus cells are not secreted mucus properly, this HCl may come and digest the nearby cells of the stomach, and if that cells are digested or destroyed by this HCl, what will happen? The proper functioning of the stomach will never takes place. If the proper functioning of the stomach has not takes place, then stomach can't store food properly and the stomach can't support for digestion. And one such disease that is coming is known as ulcers. Ulcers happens like this. If the mucus secretion, even though mucus secretion is there, it can't hold for a longer time. That is why it is recommended to have food in proper time. Take less food in proper time, but most of us, including me, will never take the food in proper time. So inside the stomach, these glands are there. So these glands support for the digestion. So this is what the main thing I have to discuss there. And next week you will get some questions, especially the MCQ questions with the beginning of the small intestine and other things. So be prepared, read the textbook properly. If there is any doubt, please comment below wherever I am posting this video. Thank you.